everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most important albums in alternative rock history.
She's got a paradise camouflage like a whip. Last night, she said, I'll never don't feel so now.
For this list, we're ranking the most important albums in alternative rock history. These received immense amounts of critical acclaim, pushed the genre into the mainstream, and/or redefined what alternative rock could be. We're excluding albums that predated the alt-rock genre, so you won't be finding the Velvet Underground and Nico here. So, what's your favorite alt-rock album? Let us know in the comments. All right, let's get into it.
Number 10. White Blood Cells, The White Stripes. Before Seven Nation Army, there was White Blood Cells. For their third studio album, the White Stripes shed their more blues rock-oriented sound and dove headfirst into the garage rock they're now known for.
1, 2, 3, 4, take the elevator at the hotel. You'll be glad to see you later. All I got inside.
The move turned out to be the correct one, at least in a commercial sense, as the album became the band's most successful to that point.
Walk with me, Susie Lee, through the park and by the tree.
It received stellar reviews and eventually went platinum, aided by the success of Fell in Love with a Girl. The album shot the White Stripes into the mainstream and redefined their sound, a sound that would eventually become one of the most recognizable in alternative rock. Number 9. Pinkerton Weezer. There was once a time when Weezer dominated the alternative rock scene. After storming into the mainstream with Weezer in 1994, Weezer changed up their sound and released the darker and less commercial Pinkerton. The darker sound of Pinkerton came about from a variety of factors, including Rivers Cuomo's disillusionment with fame, a painful surgery, and his ambition to create greater, more dramatic music. And while the less commercial record initially saw poor sales and reviews, its standing has increased in recent years, with many emo bands of the 2000s calling it a major influence on their work. You could argue that Pinkerton helped spawn an entire genre of music. Number 8. Daydream Nation, Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth showed the world what they could do with Daydream Nation. The group was known for their aggressive and abrasive sound, and they blended their penchant for noise rock with art and punk to create one of the greatest and most unique albums of the 80s.
We're calling from Providence, Rhode Island. Did you find your...
The album was praised for its bravery and stunning mixture of different forms of rock, and it was instantly labeled Sonic Youth's greatest work. It earned the band acclaim and brought them to the attention of major record labels, as well as becoming a huge influence on the genre of alt-rock and its progenitors, including Nirvana's Kurt Cobain. Number 7. Is This It? The Strokes. Before Is This It?, the Strokes were working part-time jobs and serving in supporting roles for bigger bands on tour. That all changed with this album. To say that Is This It was an instant success would be an understatement. Many music critics consider it a record that redefined the entire music industry, as it suddenly shifted mainstream attention away from pop and girl and boy bands to alt-rock. It not only only influenced popular successors like Franz Ferdinand, Kings of Leon, and Arctic Monkeys. It also reinvigorated art pop genres of the 70s and 80s like electro and synth pop. Many bands of the 2000s and even today owe a great debt to the Strokes. Number 6. Disintegration, The Cure. The Cure was a very popular alt-rock pop band throughout the 80s. While they were once known for their dark, gothic rock sound, they diverged into pop with albums like The Head on the Door. However, their newfound fame got to their heads, with drummer and keyboardist Lowell Tolhurst falling into alcoholism and vocalist Robert Smith consuming large amounts of LSD. To distance themselves from the fame, Smith returned the band to goth rock. But it only made them more famous. The album is praised for its grand, haunting sound, and despite the less commercial music, it became the band's highest-selling album. Talk about backfiring. Number 5. Murmur, r.e.m. The production of Murmur was certainly interesting. It was initially produced by Stephen Hague, but the band hated his penchant for technical perfection. They teamed up with their old producer, Mitch Easter, and created an album without popular rock attributes of the time, like the use of synthesizers. This resulted in a unique and highly original album, complete with muddy, imperfect production, groovy beats, Michael Stipe's droning vocals, and cryptic lyrics.
Standing too soon, shoulders high.
No one really knew what to make of it, but looking back, it is clear that the album served as a huge influence on the alt-rock scene of the succeeding decade. Number 4. The Queen is Dead, The Smiths. You know a band has something to say when they release an album with that title. The Queen is Dead is undeniably one of the wackiest, most unique albums of the modern era. The album was praised for Morrissey's vocals and sense of humor, and the music perfectly matched the witty lyrics, creating an atmosphere of fun and not so gentle ribbing. It is still held in high esteem to this day, and it is often considered to be a major influence on Britpop, a catchy form of alternative rock that dominated Britain in the 90s thanks to bands like Oasis, Blur, and Suede. Number 3. Nevermind, Nirvana. What can be said about Nevermind that hasn't already been said?
Hurry up, chances yours, don't be late.
Nevermind was Nirvana's second studio album and the first to feature Dave Grohl.
I'm so happy, 'cause today found my friends in my head.
No one expected the album to be a big hit, but it turned out to be a massive success thanks to its overall quality and lead single Smells Like Teen Spirit, which dominated MTV in the early 90s. Smells Like Teen Spirit and the album as a whole propelled Nirvana to superstardom and arguably pushed alternative rock and grunge into the mainstream. Many alt-rock bands of the 90s owe a significant debt to Nirvana and Nevermind. Number 2. Dolittle, Pixies. At the time of recording Dolittle, the Pixies was an inconsequential band. Their debut album, Surfer Rosa, was ignored by pretty much everyone, and they recorded demos for Dolittle in the basement of a hair salon. Pretty humble unusual origins for a band that ended up changing an entire genre of music. Dolittle was released in April 1989, and many critics and aspiring musicians took notice. It ended up being an enormous influence on further alt-rock gods, including Kurt Cobain, who heavily modeled Smells Like Teen Spirit after the musical style of Dolittle. Its influence is long-ranging and undeniable.
Surprised that Nevermind is only number 3? That's how iconic our number 1 is. So let's press play on some honorable mentions, and then we will name our top most important album in alternative rock history.
The Stone Roses. The Stone Roses. Funeral. Arcade Fire. Definitely Maybe. Oasis.
She's into Alka-Seltzer. She sniffs it through a cane on a supersonic train.
Want more music content? WatchMojo produces an original podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. The show provides authentic interviews with artists from all around the world, while also staying true to WatchMojo's roots with top 10 music banter thrown into the mix. What's the best advice Alice Cooper's ever given you? Looking back at the staying power, does it shock you?
No, we have naked pictures of the right people.
If you want exclusive interviews with award-winning artists, producers, singers, songwriters, check out Inner Sleeve.
Number 1. OK Computer. Radiohead. Let's be honest here. Basically, every Radiohead album is something new, exciting, and hugely influential. But OK Computer is something else. The band didn't really impress anyone with Pablo Honey, and while the Bends received a better reception, it didn't have an iota of OK Computer's impact. Not only is it often considered to be one of the greatest albums ever, it completely obliterated the popular Britpop genre and pushed British music into an entirely new, more complex direction.
When I am king, you will be first again.
It spawned a host of imitative acts, including Travis and Muse, while also repopularizing prog rock and concept albums. No one can replicate Radiohead, but that certainly did not stop them from trying.
I would love to hear which of these albums you listen to the most. For me, I think it's Pinkerton, but I also listened to What's the Story Morning Glory like nonstop. However, as you saw, influential though it may have been, it was not on the list. So be sure to let us know in the comments, or come tell me on Twitter or Instagram at Rebecca Brayton, or on my YouTube channel. See ya!